Ladies and gentlemen, just to tell you a little bit about what I've done and what we do at Art Equity. My background was that I went to art school quite a long time ago now. I'm the son of two doctors, so that was an interesting exercise, telling them I was going to go and do that. When I was at art school, towards the end of my degree, I had a fairly large argument with my painting lecturer when I said I'd like to sell pictures, and he said, "Why would you want to do that?" And so at that moment I thought, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen next, and so I decided to do a Diploma of Education and ultimately a Masters in Fine Art as well. During that time I had two choices. One was to go to Japan and play rugby, and the other one was to get a job teaching in Launceston or the west coast of Tasmania. I took the job teaching in Launceston and ended up teaching there for about 6 or 7 years, going off rowing and all that sort of stuff. Ultimately ended up at Sydney Grammar School, which is all great as far as a benefit of learning how to communicate with people and encouraging them to get excited about art. Because when you look at a picture, or you read the history of it, it can be an experience that most people will, they may enjoy it or they may not understand it. And for me, the most exciting thing when I was teaching was getting people to engage in it. And I used to tell, particularly at Sydney Grammar, with the boys, saying, "Look, guys, this may not be on an exam, but one day you'll be walking a beautiful backpacker around an art gallery in Europe, and you'll do well if you just listen to me now." And and I took my own advice on that too. That's how I managed to meet my wife. So anyway, but the point about all that is, after a while, you're going along, you're teaching, you're going through generations of teaching kids, and you start thinking, well, there could be other things to do. And about 9 years ago, we had the opportunity to create this business called Art Equity, which was initially an online business and talking on the phone. We met with a couple of the major gallerists in this country. They gave us about 5 minutes and told us we were mad, that no one would ever sell any art over the internet, and that the idea of someone buying a painting over the phone was ridiculous. And consequently now, not only with us but around the world, many millions and millions of dollars is traded daily over the internet and over the phone. And it's quite an exciting way of doing it, but at the end of the day, it's all about being able to explain and talk about pictures and show things, and that's using the technology. And you'll see with Sotheby's and what have you overseas, they're now doing a lot of online auctions and all that sort of thing. That's all been really good, but one of the things that is most exciting about our role is we've been able to get stuck into going out into the desert. So I deal with lots of really interesting and slightly mad people, both in the desert and also in the white art world. So some of the very famous names of Australian art who are completely eccentric. And out in the desert, we've had this amazing opportunity to work with some of the original people who wandered out of the desert in the 50s, 60s and 70s. And to meet them and understand that what they are painting is their history, their life, their culture, going all the way back tens of thousands of years, and being shown around their country and into caves where you've no white people, no one's been for hundreds of years. It for me was the absolute pinnacle of a change of career on that side of things. It was so my role now is that I get to do stuff that I only ever read about as a teacher, and but the process of becoming a teacher has allowed me to do what we do now. The other thing that we've just started doing is a business called Uproar, and if you want any more information about all these things and the exhibitions we run at Art Equity and all that sort of stuff, you can catch up with me later. But Uproar is an opportunity for young artists, or old artists for that matter, to use our networks and to start understanding the professionalism that is required if you're going to go and become a a professional artist. It's an online business, and it's not an exclusive business, because the nature of art dealing, I've seen a massive change over the last 8 or 9 years. It is still evolving, it's still changing, and these vehicles of being able to present your work and then network it out into not only Sydney, Australia, but the world, in a very real sense, so long as you understand some of the guidelines as a visual artist, you can be really successful. And that's our little project, which becomes a breeding ground for some of the future great artists that Art Equity will hopefully take on, and also just providing people with artwork that is not straight off the IKEA wall, you know, because the most fantastic thing is to buy a picture for $50, $100, $200, and then 5 years later see them hung in the Archibald Prize. And that's never going to happen with your IKEA poster. So very conscious of time, and if you'd like to know more, just let me know. The final thing, I gather there's been a couple of photos flicking up on the site there. It is the duality of what I do. I spend a lot of time in a suit, and then I spend a lot of time sitting in the desert talking to old people who don't speak English. And it's a great way of keeping your life fresh and exciting, and some of the stories that have ended up from out there are just mind-blowing. So thank you very much for listening, and look forward to having a chat afterwards.